Oh, yes, we are live. Welcome to Chaos and Amazement, where we explore the impact of digital technology on our daily lives. My name is 𝗦𝗵cie.
And my name is 𝗦𝗵cie. And together we're building socialrunners.com, a platform where you can book your photographer or your video producer.
Yes.
For a lot of chaos and amazement.
Yeah, I'm curious. Shoot.
Remember last week we talked about this AI that generated Seinfeld episodes. So I was fed with these 9 years of Seinfeld episodes, all very funny. And it was kind of funny. It was live stream on Twitch.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were watching it at any given time when you tuned in. So the Twitch channel and so you know where this is going. The Twitch channel was called Watch Me Forever. And at any given time, thousands of people are watching with you. Very pixelated environment, very 90s style. It was fascinating. And sometimes it was really funny until it wasn't. So
It's shut down.
Suspended. Because the AI made a joke that was not funny at all. And not only not funny, but against the community rules of Twitch. So let's say Jerry Seinfeld character at a certain point in time says, maybe I should do stand-up comedy. And then it says, hypothetically, I could do a joke about, and then it makes like a really nasty remark about transgender people. Or I could do a joke about, and then another nasty remark about gay people. So, and then the joke is that the character said, hey, where did everyone go? So it's very meta, of course.
Yeah.
It says that it's, your audience would just leave you when you make jokes like this. But
True.
I have a friend of mine always gets in trouble with the police, and then he calls them names. He found out that it's illegal in Belgium. You can actually, get condemned in court in Belgium if you call a cop a Smurf.
Yeah.
And then he says things like talking to a cop at a traffic stop. And then he will say things like, I could call you a Smurf, but I won't. And then he's still
Yeah.
sued for that. So it doesn't matter how you package it. You can. I agree with Twitch that it was against the rules of the platform. But of course, if you look, I'm not sure when Seinfeld was. It went on for like 9 years, but like a different era, of course. And
yeah.
maybe we should research if the Seinfeld show would make jokes like that, because of course the AI is fed on Seinfeld episodes, and then throw in a little bit of trash from all over the internet, and then you get things like that.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting because it's of course against the rules of the platform, but it could also have said something that is literally illegal. Who is in charge? Who is responsible? You can suspend the channel, but you could also say, no, you did something that's literally illegal in this country or in this state, and we will bring, who? The people who built the AI, the whole team.
Yeah. But there are people reacting on our shorts that it's not AI, that it's people who are doing this, and calling it woke nation and stuff like that. Oh my God, yeah.
So it's the government.
Yeah, it's the government, yeah.
Well, I guess we'll never know, because if this were the case, they would never tell us.
It will be a superhuman if they can do it like this fast, prompt you this results.
It's a topic that will never get old. I think I think, speaking for myself, I project a lot of humanity onto something that is basically just something that has been trained on our own speech and our own expressions, and then we act surprised when it behaves like us in our worst on our worst days. By the way, I noticed that ChatGPT now has this button. Has this button that you can go premium and $20 a month.
Oh,
it's perfectly fine.
Not anymore on the waiting list. It's directly
there.
Okay.
It's there. For me, but for now, I'm not in the process of like writing another book or writing the scenario for a series of educational videos, which is what I use it most often for. But the minute I step into a larger product, I think I'll switch. because then I can use it at any time of the day.
Yeah.
Now I have to plan it between 9 and 11 in the morning, CET, and then as soon as the East Coast wakes up, you can see that it's getting a little busy on the server.
Yeah, yesterday somebody told me, I'm using ChatGPT in the morning, and because in the afternoon, then America wakes up, and
Exactly. You know who also has been very busy past week? That's Microsoft. My God, they had a great week.
Microsoft and Google.
And Google had a bit, their week was not as good as Microsoft. So, I saw some images. So obviously, Microsoft launched their updated Bing search engine and Edge browser, and I'm really impressed with the speed with which they integrated their OpenAI ChatGPT. I think a more advanced version than the one that we're playing with. I think it's like the 3.5 or maybe even a 4 version. They have fully integrated it into the Bing search engine. And I thought, good for you, Bing, because for years, Bing was like clippy of search engines.
It was there, but nobody...
It was around, for years, it was around 5%. And for me, if something is like less than 5%, is statistically not relevant. Now it's crawled up to, let's say, 8%, maybe 8.5%. And I saw a demo where if you type in a search query in Bing, there would be a panel on the right-hand side with what the AI thinks is a good answer to a question, and not a list of places on the internet where you maybe find a good answer. There's also a little tab just underneath the search bar that says chat, so you can have a conversation, so that it kind of learns from the context how to improve the results or the answer, both. And in the future, there will also be a create button, and with that button, you could say, okay, let's write an email. And in the demo, it was really cool because then the Edge browser, for example, another thing. So Bing is integrated in the Edge browser, another Microsoft product that almost nobody uses.
No, if you used it, let us know in the comments.
If you're like an Edge fan. But I was tempted to download it because so it has this little Bing icon in the top right corner, and you're visiting a website and you're reading the boring. The example was, I think, the year financial results of a fashion retailer, Gap, I think it was, and then of course you will use the AI inside Bing, just to click a button and you get this panel and you ask the AI, could you summarize this website text? It does, and then could you compare these financial results with the ones from a different fashion retailer? Could you turn it into a table? Okay, now write an email to my accountant that I should buy shares from that other company because it appears to be. So there's this whole process, and it fits really well with Microsoft because what they've been doing for at least the past 10 or maybe 20 years, their strategy is all about productivity. So it's an mission statement as well, is all of their products will help people to do their job in a more productive way. And I was really, really impressed, and I can imagine that back at Google headquarters.
Slap in the face.
Yes, and so the day after, there was a press conference in Paris, I think, which was live streamed on YouTube, obviously. The comments were turned off, and that was a little unusual. Everyone expected, of course, that there were some leaks that they would present simply their
competitor with ChatGPT.
AI killer. They didn't. They talked about a number of products. You were impressed by their presentation.
Google Maps.
Google Maps.
Yeah. You can swipe through the day. So you go in the environment where you want to go, and then you swipe through the day and you see the weather change. So that's really crazy because you can imagine, where can I hide for the sun, or where can I go when it's raining? And it's
so
nice.
If you're like the typical Instagram boyfriend, so you have a girlfriend who is an influencer, and you're the Instagram boyfriend who has to take the pictures, the assistant basically. you can do your research when you're doing a city trip, and then kind of look for the best angles and the best
and
backdrops.
you also can walk into the restaurant, so you can check the lighting in the restaurant. So if it's good for a date night.
Well, I like Google is an interface between the real world and the physical world. It's basically a browser of our planet. It's from Google Earth up until Google Street and Street View, Google Maps. I must admit it's one of their coolest products. But then, of course, at one point in time, they had to address the elephant in the room, and they decided on calling it BARD, which I don't like a lot. BARD. It's probably an acronym, but well, the demo didn't go very well. You could see that there must have been a lot of panic and a lot of rushing, and the presenters were not really comfortable.
No.
I kind of felt sorry. One of them, Liz Reed, was supposed to do a demo, and she needed
the phone
for this. The phone was there. It's not the first time during a live stuff like that can happen. I mean, even Steve Jobs, and when it was a long time ago, he wanted to demo something, and then the Wi-Fi, he didn't get enough bandwidth, and then I think even Bill Gates once had the PC crash on him, and that blue screen of death was displayed for everyone to see. So it happens, but for me, it was painful to watch.
Yeah. If you want to come with a competitor, you need to nail this presentation.
They shouldn't have demoed it. I can understand why the pressure was there to demo it, but it was clearly not integrated in any of the existing Google products. And that's where Microsoft really came out as the big winner. And Satya Nadella, he was having like a field day. He had I think the best week in his whole career at Microsoft. And I must say, the way you could see from his body language, he was very confident, very calm, very, very open also. And he said the dance has started. He doesn't see it as beating. I like the vocabulary that he used. He didn't talk about beating the competitor. He sees it as a dance where sometimes Microsoft leads, sometimes Google leads, and then maybe some dark horse, a third party will enter, and then it will become really interesting. It's a great time to be alive.
And it's good that they can join the dance, because for all those years it was always Apple or Google that
would innovate with spectacular new products. I call this show the Chaos and Amazement because I believe that we live in a technological singularity, a unique moment when everything changes, nothing is the same again, but it also causes a lot of chaos and amazement. And I'm convinced that the last time we lived through a moment like that was in 2007, when Steve Jobs, at the end of his Steve notes, would mention very casually, one more thing, and that was the iPhone. I think the iPhone was the last time we saw singularity, and this is the next one. So
true.
I could go on for hours about this. I felt sorry for Google, but on the other hand, having two competitors dancing like this will only lead to faster innovation and more amazement, a little bit of chaos as well. And maybe now Google will probably hire a lot of good AI engineers and developers, and then throw some more money. Maybe also buy a number of interesting startups to speed up the process. So
I saw people on Twitter, Google now these days going to over the street, going to OpenAI and throwing some money to employers.
Maybe it wasn't a thing for Twitter, right? So they can't just lure away people who just got fired from Twitter. But I'm very enthusiastic. But you mentioned Twitter, and Twitter is part of a zone in my newsletter that I've called Tech Sigbay, which is so Google and Microsoft, they're at it. They're at the they're at the top of the game. And then there's for example BeReal. Remember BeReal? Were you on BeReal or not?
I made an account but never used it.
Never use it. No. Are you still getting the?
Yeah. Constantly.
Me too. It's on my iPad, and no, I tried. I don't like being told what to do, so it's a personality thing. what I did like was the fact I knew it was French, and anything coming from the French doesn't try to be that hard. On the contrary, it goes against what is considered cool and innovative in Silicon Valley. So it will have, this company will have other values.
But TikTok integrated this as well now in their app.
It's a feature that is very easily integrated into existing, so that they can be copied really easily. And so another semester started at the colleges where I teach, the ones in Brussels and in Antwerp, and so the first course I will always ask, hey, what's your first name? And what's your favorite social media platform? And then usually in a class, there's a lot of those. In the first session, all of them are there. So there's 50 students in the classroom. and it's a good way to kind of, check the pulse of what 20-somethings are using. And now for the first time, there was no one there who said BeReal.
Okay.
And that was new, because in September there were still like 3 or 4 that said BeReal. And I noticed that when the BeReal dropped, the notification would drop and they were in my class, that they would literally they would say, excuse me, it's BeReal, can I? Okay, go ahead. And now the moment appears to be gone, and I use data.ai, it used to be called App Annie, data.ai, to check whether it still has a lot of monthly active users in the social networks category, and it's dropped completely out of the top 30. So for Belgium at least. So it's gonna be a difficult year, because they were around for a couple of years, but they had their moment last year in 2022. And they're not big enough yet to be attractive to advertisers. They don't even have like an advertising product again. So if they do not find a way to get more users and then become more attractive to advertisers before the end of this year,
it's over. Yeah.
Maybe some bigger, Instagram got bought by Facebook, YouTube got bought by Google. This could still happen, but I don't think so.
It's not it's not. Yeah, you can copy it easy. So it's not that you want to buy this company as well, because Snapchat can do this, TikTok can do this,
and it doesn't have like 1 million users.
No.
So, I could do even worse than that. So 2022 was BeReal's years. 2021 was Clubhouse's year. Remember that?
No, I never used this.
I did. Oh yes, very intensely.
What does it do?
Well, it looks a lot like what I'm doing here, Twitter Spaces.
Okay.
Twitter Spaces reminds me a lot of Clubhouse, and every Friday night I had a talk show, and I invited people on stage, and I loved it. It was great.
Okay.
Because back then, 2 years ago, we were in full lockdown, right? Or we still, the pandemic was still in full swing, and I noticed I got to know a lot of interesting people on Clubhouse because we were all stuck at home and just starved for some real human conversations. I learned a lot, And but then they made this mistake, and I still don't understand why. So they went viral in March 2021, and then it took them until October or something before they offered an app for Android. And I thought, I don't know the numbers by heart, but I think like 3/4 of the world is on Android, not on iOS. And I thought I was arrogant, to be honest, because they had some investment money, so they had the millions to build an app, and then for some reason they decided not to. So by the time they did offer an Android version, it was too late, I think. And right now, there's this Medium article that says, so what happened to Clubhouse? I think this was one of the reasons.
Is this not also a feature in MetaQuest?
What is MetaQuest? I don't even know.
It's the metaverse from Facebook, where they have a stage where you can do comedian stuff. And is it also not calling the
Clubhouse?
The Clubhouse?
Yeah, the idea was a place where you could get together.
Yeah.
And I remember at first that you would have, and then you better get your finger on that button again. Elon Musk would get interviewed. Mark Zuckerberg would get interviewed. So it was a place where all of these A-list names would go to, and then it got a lot of traction back then. I have only fond memories of Clubhouse. But then by April, I had this deadline for my previous handbook, Video Marketing Like a Pro, and I thought to myself, I spent hours every day on Clubhouse, and I thought, I just have to quit cold turkey, because if I still spend this much time on Clubhouse, I'll never be able to finish that book. And then by the time it was finished, a couple of months after that, I had, kicked the habit, and I never went back. So TechSigB is quite full. I hope the doctors then. We had BeReal, we have Clubhouse, and then of course Mastodon. Mastodon's still there, but all of these Twitter users. So, as you know, I feel most at home on Twitter, right? Because that's where what I feel my people are. The geeks, the nerds, the first wave of users way back then when Twitter started. I joined in 2007, and the people I used to talk to on IRC and then after that the bloggers, they were the first invasion on Twitter, I think, because they considered it as a back channel. It worked. It looked a lot like a web to SMS service, which was an actual thing. I used to work at Advalvas, and they had a page, web to SMS, where you could type in something and then it would arrive as a text message on someone's mobile phone. It cost Advalvas, it would be in today's money, it would be like 50,000 euros a month. But it was a way to attract traffic to your website, and this is so long ago that you didn't even really need a business model when you started a web service. So, and that's what Twitter reminded me of. And I noticed that it was this particular type of Twitter users that were moved to Mastodon. And I have a Mastodon account on one of those early servers, and I went on a couple of times, but it's as if people wanted to have conversations on Mastodon, and I thought, I'm not on Twitter to have conversations. I do have them accidentally. But it feels weird to have a conversation on Twitter, because Twitter is the last truly public social media platform. All the others force you to log in before you can see what's going on. I think Instagram is typical. You see something going on Instagram. I'm not saying that I'm spying on my ex through Instagram, right? It kind of annoys me that as soon as you want to move beyond one post, you have to log in, right? Twitter doesn't have that.
No, but many people use this as a ID hub. People drop topics, and if there's reaction on it, you can make a video or stuff like that.
That's exactly what I do. I come across a lot of things that catch my eye in the course of the week, and then I'll just post. Usually it's a link in my case. I'll just post it on Twitter and then see whether it has some traction, and that's basically also how I decide what this week's topics in my Substack newsletter and on this show is. I mention only the stuff that got some reactions. I love it because very often people will point you to another different point of view. Also, very often they will correct me. And I like that. Of course, there's a lot. It's not a nice Clubhouse. Twitter is not. But if you could just set that aside and know which topics to avoid, I just throw up interesting links and then see whoever catches.
What are your thoughts about video on Twitter?
They've missed. I mean, not only did they miss a boat, they had a boat and then decided to sink it. It's this. I remember Meerkat. I think it was called Was it called Meerkat? It was something like that. Yeah. So they had like a live streaming video service, and I absolutely loved it. I was one of the beta testers, and I remember there was this one guy in Moscow who was walking around late night in Moscow. He was going to a store buying something, and he was a designer who worked for the Russian Playboy. It was really cool. It was I could walk with this guy, and he would chat with us and explaining what was going on in the streets. And then they shut it down. They also had Vine. a number of people became influencers on Vine because they were so good in creating, wait for it, short videos, vertical videos. And then they shut that down as well.
Yeah.
And I noticed that you sometimes you send me these short clips of this show, and I upload them to my Facebook page and to my LinkedIn profile. And I thought I might as well upload them to Twitter, and then I can't.
No, and as well the YouTube link. There's no thumbnail in this post.
That's as if Twitter doesn't want you to post anything that might smell like a video, which is weird. So also in CatGPT is of course Twitter. It hurts. It breaks my heart because it is my favorite. It's like having like several children and the one problem child secretly as a mother you love that most. That's how I feel about Twitter right now. But so on a website that I hadn't seen before, it's on Substack, but the URL is platformer.news, is an article with basically a list of all the stuff that has gone wrong at Twitter in the past six months. And then when you see all of these things together, it's like reading a eulogy of someone who has just died. It's a scenario that can, if it's very depressing, to be honest. It's a scenario where you read it, you think this cannot end well. This cannot end well at all. So the first new session in the new semester, I have to present myself, and I say my name is 𝗦𝗵cie𝘄𝗲𝘀𝘀, and I'm most active on Twitter. And then I make this like fingers crossed for as long as it lasts, because it is a dumpster fire, isn't it? And the students are like, yes, it is. So hang in there, Twitter. We love you. So that's CatGPT. It's full of patience. BeReal, Mastodon is not a patient, but I remember all of these noisy Twitter users saying, I've quitted Twitter, I'm moving over to Mastodon. Awfully silent right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very happy that I could contain my emotions and not rage quit Twitter.
Yeah, there are also many new users, people who love Elon Musk, who are going to the platform now.
Well, maybe they're just there's a word for that. People, when they see an accident, they can't have it work.
Yeah, they're almost
train wreck.
Yeah, and they're disappointed when they're going on Twitter. So it's not for them.
It's not for them. Well, let's move from Silicon Valley to Hollywood. So we had all of these award shows now, but behind the scenes, from a technological point of view, there's a lot of interesting things going on. For example, so there's a new Indiana Jones movie coming up, and I'm not sure how old Harrison Ford is right now, but he's old, all right. Let me just quick. Hello, how old is Harrison Ford? 80 years. Wow. That's even older than I thought he was. And then he's still acting, obviously, but he's also playing his younger self.
Wow.
And that used to be done with a lot of makeup and the bad wigs, or they would just spray the hair gray, black to black again. We already had a few examples of movies. There was this one with, the title escapes me, but it's been done before to de-age the actors. Because otherwise, when you have flashbacks in a movie, you would have to hire a young actor that more or less looks a little bit like the older actor.
And Iron Man is also...
Did they do that?
Yeah, I thought, whoa.
But this de-aging technology is now also improving really fast. And
it's deepfake. Is this deepfake then? Or what is this?
Technically, it's deepfake. That's right, because they used existing footage of a young Harrison Ford to feed the AI with, and when you see the result, it's very, very convincing. So in like 6 months, 1 year time, it went from this. It was still a little uncanny when you watched it, and it would sometimes you could see that it was not real. The way they put small details like the teeth or the movement of the lips or the eyebrows. But this is now a valley that has been crossed, and so this changes the business of making movies. I think the whole budget is different now. You need one actor instead of two.
But I love the way all these movies and series are bringing back the actors who they used 20 years ago or 15. Avatar as well. All the actors in the first movie.
Yeah, that's interesting because Hollywood was often blamed for ageism, right? So
Yeah.
they would only show attractive young people, and then especially with women, because older actors, they have a head with a lot of characters. So they're not old; they have character. While female actresses often complain about the fact that they had a hard time finding a new job. So, so these contracts that are being signed with actors already look a lot different from 6 months ago. One of the things they're being asked to sign is to sign away the rights not only to their faces. Just imagine. I just hope that Harrison Ford makes it through to like 120 years old. He's a really interesting guy and a great actor. But let's just say that he doesn't make it until the end of the production, or they want to make another Indiana Jones. Basically, they don't need him anymore.
No.
Because they have an AI that can play it. You know, you have a physical actor that more or less has the same physique as he does, and then they will just use the same virtual effects, AI, the aging technology to do that. So that's one thing. Are you, as an actor, when you sign on in a movie production,
will you cope with it?
To sign off the image, right? In any case, they're already being asked to sign off the voice rights. So a year ago, I've been told it was not correct, so there was a form of fake news or a misunderstanding, but it was said that Bruce Willis had signed off the rights to his voice and his face because he's got an illness, so he can no longer act. But I think that was like the first sign that something is going on. Being an actor, maybe it is also changing, and maybe theoretically, you could have the perfect look and the perfect voice, never act a day in your life, and still make money as an actor.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting thing to ponder about. Maybe this could also lead to what I think is fascinating: the idea of a holodeck in Star Trek. So for the few people who don't know, as you know, I'm a
Star Trek fan.
So basically, in Star Trek, they would travel for decades on board of a starship, and of course, you get bored. So that's what the holodeck was for. It was a physical room, but once inside, it was a virtual reality environment. You didn't have to wear a helmet. Your AI environment would be in real time, just projected around you. There were AI characters that would interact with you. So that's the holodeck. And now going back to an actor, let's say, signing off the rights to their movements, their voice, and their images, and combine this with another technology that I came across, and I wrote a blog post about it, let me just say, it was something like quantum something, where didn't you have like the browser open, quantum engine, and you can ask it. There's a demo for the Matrix. So you can basically ask the AI, that's the one, quantum engine. You can ask the AI to create a new script exactly like the one for the movie The Matrix. And then it would generate it and you can interact with it. So this is text only, the quantum engine. But if you combine this with the other AI, the virtual effects AI that I talked about, where they have like a Keanu Reeves ready sitting, and in theory, I could just it's asking for permission to get access to everything.
Quantum engine allows you to engage in open-ended conversations with any character within a narrative.
Let's just say Keanu Reeves in his role as Neo.
In this technical preview, we will bring you back to the classical movie, The Matrix as Neo, and engage in conversations with Morpheus in the construct.
I'm curious whether it sounds like
the quantum engine, you could press and hold F on your keyboard or press and hold anywhere on the screen on mobile. The construct on the left will vibrate to indicate that it is registering your voice.
Okay, so
this is the script in Hollywood standard format. It will evolve dynamic as Morpheus guides a coaxial line into the jack at the back of his neck. Neo screams and makes a few other disturbing noises. When he opens his eyes,
This is going on for 10 minutes.
totally white place. His hair is back and he is wearing different clothes. As Neo spins around a bit,
Yeah, you can shut them up now.
in front of him.
I'm a little disappointed it doesn't have the Keanu's voice.
No.
I'm a bit of a Keanu fan. But let's just combine this with the Harrison Ford de-aging technology, and you have the rights to the voice of Keanu Reeves, to the face of Keanu Reeves, to the movement of Keanu Reeves. This is getting very close. I would book a session in the holodeck with Keanu Reeves in his Neo role. Oh yeah, all the places we could go. So the interesting.
You can play Cyberpunk 3000. He's in this game, so
Well, basically, if you're a gamer, you're already familiar with this type of character design, and but I like how it's getting how this overlap with Hollywood. I love that.
yeah.
And I can see a market. That's the type of virtual reality that I like.
Yeah.
Where it gets really creative and where an environment with characters, especially if they look and behave like Keanu Reeves, that interact with you in real time.
Yeah, there will be a time that you can buy him to be in your commercial and he's not physically there.
And I can imagine that you want to do a reenactment of the Battle of Waterloo, and you can play. You would actually play to be a lieutenant to Napoleon, and Napoleon would talk back to you. I mean, wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, that's crazy if that's gonna happen.
Yeah. So I can feel we are this close. It's a matter of connecting the right dots, and then we got a real cool product, I think. So I'm very, very optimistic. Now, Ben Thompson is a little bit more pessimistic. He's a very famous digital strategist. And when he says something about the future of technology, people listen. His blog is called Stratechery. Like strategy, but stratechery. And he wrote a blog post that made a lot of waves earlier this week. It's called The Four Horsemen of the Tech Recession. So first of all, he mentions that there is a tech recession. He's referring to all of these people who are getting fired, because we thought that Twitter would be the only one. But like in the literal weeks after Twitter started firing people, you could see that Microsoft started firing people, Google started firing people. So, and it's not over yet. So. It used to be the type of job where you would think, work for a tech company. And they were, financially speaking, they were the big winners of the pandemic. They didn't feel the pandemic at all, on the contrary. But now there is this recession, right? So he points to that. And so why are all of a sudden are these companies who made so much money in 2020 and 21, why do they now have to fire thousands of people? And so the four horsemen of not of the apocalypse, but of the tech recession, according to Ben Thompson, is a hangover after their growth during the COVID-19 pandemic. That's interesting. So a hangover. So maybe they got a little overconfident and a bit too comfortable when they saw this money pouring in. Hardware life cycles. I have no idea what he means by that. Hardware life cycles. And the end
maybe the hardware is better engineered now that it can be with a longer lifespan.
A new computer or a new iPhone every 2 years, which is not true in the case of an iPhone. At the end of zero interest rates, that is a fact. I mean, but I thought that would hurt startups more than it would hurt the big tech companies. And then Apple's ATT, so as if, we're going full cookieless right now. And my iPhone will tell me whenever I use Safari, which is the default browser.
Ask to track.
Safari will say, I've been working hard for you. I just stopped 87 trackers from stealing your personal information. And then it's like waiting for a pat on the shoulder. But I was curious, and I thought, what do you mean by these trackers? And it's 90% is just Google Analytics. So Apple is really trying to hurt Google. It's also hurting Facebook. And all of these apps who were tracking us every time there's so Apple is That's the first time. I mean, that's a very ballsy move. Usually Apple was like, yeah, we're the good ones, we're nice. You had this still this hippie culture, and now they're full frontally attacking their main competitors by hurting them where it hurts most, which is tracking user data. And it does have an impact. So Apple's ATT does have an impact on, for example, Facebook. So
and also on the businesses, because
the financials of Facebook were quite bad in the last quarter because they're missing out on a lot of advertising revenue. And it also hurts Google because a lot of the income from Google is still from advertising on Google's search engine, which now has like a really big competitor, and YouTube advertising. Yeah. So, I wouldn't call it like the full horseman of the tech recession, but it just goes to show that even if you have like 2 enormously successful years, this doesn't mean that you're comfortable for the years that come after. And that's the chaos part in chaos.
But they also invest a lot in their metaverse, and it's not working, and they hired many new people. So yeah, it's normal that they have layoffs now.
Mark Zuckerberg is now changing his tune. He doesn't mention the metaverse as often anymore and tries to win the hearts back of the investors and the shareholders. I think he realizes that it was a strategic mistake.
Yeah, they hyped it too much. If you say something about it, but you implement it like they're doing now, because you only can get into the space when you have an Oculus. Yes. And that's too bad, because I also want to use the metaverse. I want to see what it does, but you can't go into this metaverse without it.
The minute it looks more like Star Trek's holodeck and less like a weird place where people don't have legs, I'm back.
Maybe next year in the show we have a holodeck on this table.
Like a virtual third Keanu Reeves with us on the table, eating a sandwich with a very fat face and killing the vibe.
But then you're watching at him and not anymore at me. So.
I would totally agree. That's an absolute fact. There's been a research, and this was information that in my heart I already knew, but there's been a research where they asked parents, at what age do you think children should get their first smartphone? I have an educated guess. Their first own smartphone.
Yeah, I was young as well.
How old were you?
7. But it was with a phone, not a smartphone. It was a phone with... Like this.
7.
Yeah, 7. I was, because I went to the swimming pool, and my parents my grandmother brought me to the swimming pool, but they
didn't trust her.
Yeah, they trust her, but they wanted to me that I had a phone, because when I'm gone, I'm not with them. They are
emergencies.
Yes.
But this
I don't know. I think 5 years old, 6 years old now. Yeah, you see them playing already with the phone. So yeah, maybe it's an iPad in the beginning.
That's how it starts. But I think the whole for emergencies is an important factor. The research says now it feels very conservative. So parents, when you ask parents, I'm not saying whether they say 12 to 13-year-olds, but and then of course we get this classic, will somebody please think of the children? But I've been told that Snapchat is making a big comeback at the playground, 12-year-olds, and that makes a lot of adult people very nervous, because then of course some of these kids get harassed, and then that happens. That unfortunately that happens. I remember when Amazon Messenger, that was really cool when you were like 12 years old, and you would feel excluded. You knew that the cool kids would go straight on Amazon Messenger as soon as they got home. And if you were not there or not included in their conversations, it felt like harassment. And something similar right now is going on with Snapchat. So it doesn't matter what the technology is, whether you go online and on a computer when you get home and then open up Amazon Messenger, or you have the smartphone that you got from your parents and then everyone is using Snapchat. It's unfortunately, it's an issue that will come. It's just, I could see it come back every 5 years, the same discussion.
Yeah, in France, they're gonna block the porn websites for children who are under 18.
Right.
Yeah, but I think it's a good movement that we can protect children from the wrong websites because,
They will find them anyway.
yeah,
I was so desperate. So that we were talking about the early 1980s. I was so desperate when I was looking for this type of information when I was like 10 or 11 years old. I actually consulted the encyclopedia. So my firstborn were like body parts. And now that I was seeing this, I thought, wow, that could have gone wrong. But I'm fine. I'm not. But they will go look for it, and you cannot believe how incredibly creative someone gets.
course.
Something but I understand where it's going. A lot of these websites, for example, they know that people really want to see this type of content, and then they will make you click on some really nasty stuff that installs viruses in your computer.
It starts with a game, like
Yes.
yeah.
And have you ever had like when you get like 1,000 pop-ups and you can't get rid of it?
Back in the days, not anymore because Apple blocks this stuff. But back in the days when the laptops were like this, I crashed my father's laptop because they were pop, 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 pop.
There's kept doing. Yeah, I remember that. That was like pure panic.
Yeah.
Because out of one of those pop-up windows, there was some music and noises coming, and you didn't know which one.
No.
And then it was like whack-a-mole, but from browser windows, and then from one of them, there were coming these.
Yeah. But I remember also in the 90s, then I was really young, you had like, when you wanted to load a picture, it took ages, was like lines.
Line by line.
And then the teacher came across the desktop and, what are you watching now? Yeah.
But there were shortcuts on the keyboard for that. They were called boss keys. You could program your keyboard so that when you did like Control B, it would show something differently, like an Excel file, a fake Excel file. You never got that far.
No.
People get really creative when they want to do stuff they're not supposed to do. But for the children, I understand where it comes from, because by the time they enter the dating scene, let's say when you're 15 or 16-year-olds, they have these expectations of how you're supposed to behave when you're with your girlfriend or boyfriend, and then the boys will expect things from girls mainly to do, and these girls go like, what? Because the girls have been watching Disney movies, right? And they're like, you want me to what? Exactly, and how am I going to breathe when we do that? So of course that's annoying.
But in Belgium,
if only parents would talk to their children about this sort of stuff. If only. But no, we're going to block porn sites so that.
It's always better to talk with your children about it.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Usually it's the trifecta where people point at. Usually the parents should talk, the media should talk, and then schools should talk. So usually when someone talks about this topic, they will point at one of these three. I think all three of them have a role to play, but blocking it and turning it into some sort of a taboo subject is definitely not good.
But is it also not a shame because, as a parent, because your children, when they are 8, some are sexual active. I remember back in the days we were talking about sex, but some children who are at 12 or something like that, they were
still very naive.
But when the children, they talk to each other, so is maybe it's a shame to. When is the right moment to talk with your children?
Yes, that's a good question. I don't think there is an age point for that.
No.
And my kids are adults now. I think it just popped up during dinner. And that they already have been doing some research. And it's usually if you're the eldest child, you're the one who has to do like the field work, the groundwork, and it's a lot easier if you're like number 2 or 3, because then you simply ask your older sibling.
Yeah.
So that's speaking of dating, I came across another Substack newsletter, certain Substack, and he designed something for a dating app called Hinge. So Tinder is not the only one, It's an imaginary. I thought it was hilarious. An imaginary augmented reality feature that should be integrated in the dating app Hinge, where you could preview your dates, what they would look like sitting in your sofa, for example. And I love that because IKEA has been offering this type of augmented reality for years now, where you can imagine, you can use augmented reality to imagine a sofa that you were about to buy, and then project it onto your real interior to see whether it would look good in the corner. Well, why not do the same with someone you just swiped, what is it, right or left? You decided to have a look, but before deciding, you want to see what this guy or girl would look like sitting next to you watching Netflix. I like it. What would this person look like laying next to me in my bed? Do they go with the curtains? Would they look good next to my dog? Is he visually compatible with my cats? I absolutely adore it. So it's called Preview Your Date with AR.
Oh my god!
By a guy called Søren, and he presents it as a feature of Hinge.
For me, it would be good
I
if
would
you.
use it. I would pay for a feature like
Yeah, but for me, it would be good. I'm not single, but when the height of this girl, because I'm
oh yeah,
that would be good.
genius.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh.
yes, of course. But I've been told that people lie about their height in their Tinder profile. So, I've been told. So I'm not. I was on Tinder for exactly 1 month in 2018, and that was a great month. It was fantastic. But I noticed that men will lie about how tall they are, and girls will lie about their body mass index. So in reality, a lot of the guys are a lot shorter than they claim to be on their dating profile, and the girls are a lot heavier than they claim to be. So it's the AR feature would take the lie over, and then you would actually look like, yes, she would look great on my arm, and then the reality is different. But I love the creativity behind this idea.
That's some weird stuff. Yeah.
So, we always end with a little bit of nonsense. And so last week we talked about the French parody of ChatGPT, which was called ChatGPT, the one that got really angry at capitalism.
And we got some reactions on this.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah, someone who didn't realize it was a parody. But I think every week there are new parodies of the AI, and then it reminds me of in 2019. This person does not exist, and then afterwards there was a lot of copycats and parodies on that. This cat does not exist. This house does not exist, and we're going through something similar now with the GPT. And but it was the one that I liked because it was so silly, I couldn't help but laugh. Every creative idea starts with what if. So this person asked himself, what if ChatGPT were a cat? And you're a dog person, right?
Yeah.
I'm a cat person. So you ask so it's cat. So you're not allowed to push the button now because it's not a word. CatGPT.wvd.io.
I saw you sharing this on Twitter. That's sweet.
And you can ask an intelligent question, like, for example, is Keanu Reeves single? I know he's not. But it's just on my mind right now. And then the answer is, and I quote, meow, meow, meow. It's so silly. It will meow at you. And it brings a smile on my face because, as you know, cats only meow to humans. They rarely do it at each other. So
Really?
It's really a language that they develop to manipulate their humans.
Okay.
Yes. Cats will hiss at each other, for example, or scream at each other. But the meowing is 90% of the cases they're doing it to their humans. So it's like dogs develop muscles in their eyebrows, so they can do this typical puppy look. So they evolved to have moving eyebrows So they can have more expressions, human-like expressions in their faces. So that's what dogs did. Also a good move, I think.
Yeah.
Which leads to a lot more snacks and being adopted and stuff like that. But on the other hand, the cats, they actually they evolved to create a language specifically for humans. And now, of course, the AI it was a matter of time. See, there's a CatGPT, where you try to have a conversation. You know, they don't care what you say. They will listen. They will not even pretend to listen to you or to care about what you do, the way a dog would. And they will just probably in their language, what they really mean is, I am disappointed with the service level of you, and I would like to have some food or snacks right now, or
attention.
Annoy me. We will never know. We will never know. We'll really need a really intelligent AI to translate.
But there is a documentary on Netflix.
I've seen it, yeah.
2040, they expect that we can understand dogs and cats. So
I think it'll be sooner with dogs, because I believe that dogs are more genuine in their communication with us than cats are. It could be because my cats, especially the older cat, I can feel the disdain she has for me. She appears to be continually disappointed in what I do, and I could always do better. So even if we could translate with a cat, it could still be lying.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's an AI for that. I'm gonna quickly check if there's anything right now in the comments. Not on Twitter, I think.
Yeah, not on Facebook either.
Not on Facebook, so you're awfully quiet right now. If you want to have an overview of the show notes and click on the links that we mentioned, was a lot of news articles this week. Check out my weekly newsletter. I will send it out tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. It's on 𝗦𝗵cie𝘄𝗲𝘀𝗀.substack, and it's also called Chaos and Amazement.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you for watching and listening. Bye-bye.
See you next week.
Bye.